Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about the norma verticalis of the skull bone. Now first of all, what is norma verticalis? Now it is the position of or the structure of the skull when it is viewed from the above. So means if I will view the skull from the above side, from the upside, so I will view this portion, right? And the skull is usually oval in shape in the norma verticalis. Now it is wider posteriorly, as you can see. This is the anterior portion, the face portion. Well, this is the posterior one. So it is wider posteriorly and narrower anteriorly, and the shape may be more nearly circular or oval. Now first of all, which bones actually form the norma verticalis? These are mainly three bones. First is the frontal bone. Upper part of the frontal bone forms the anterior of this view. Then the occipital bone, or the upper part of the occipital bone, forms the posterior part of this view. And then the parietal bones. The parietal bone form the sides of this part. Now the sutures over here, as you can see, first of all, we are having the coronal suture. This is the coronal suture. This one. This is the coronal suture. Now the sagittal suture. This is the sagittal suture. Now over here, as you can see, this is the lambdoid suture. This one. This is the lambdoid suture. And there is one more suture known as a metopic suture. Okay, what is this? Metopic suture is actually present over here. In the frontal bone, we actually divides the frontal bone into two parts. It actually is occasionally present in about 3 to 8% individuals only. Now, mainly it lies in the median plane and separates the two halves of the frontal bones. It will present over here. And normally it fuses at 6 years of age, but in some person it may persist even after 6 age, and it is mainly present in around 3 to 8% individuals. This is the metopic suture. So 4 sutures: coronal, sagittal, lambdoid, and the metopic in some people. Now the features of the norma verticalis. Now first of all, vertex. What is vertex? Vertex is actually the highest point of the sagittal suture. It is not visible from this view, but if I will watch it from the side view, so means somewhere over here, the highest point of the sagittal suture would be the, somewhere over here is the vertex. Now what is vault? Vault of the skull is the arched roof of the dome of the skull. Now the bregma. This is the bregma. Over here, the meeting point of the coronal suture and the sagittal suture is known as the bregma. Now this is known as the anterior fontanelle. First of all, what is fontanelle? Fontanelles are actually the sides of the growth of the skull, which actually permits the growth of the brain and help to determine the age. So fontanelles are nothing but actually the sides of the growth of the skull, which are actually, we can say, not fused part of this skull bone. Okay, and they permit the extra growth of the brain. Now we'll talk about the fontanelles in detail further in this video only. But just understand what is fontanelle. It is actually a non-fused part of the skull which actually helps the brain to grow in size as the kid grows. And it will fuse after some time. Different fontanelles have different fusing times. Okay, now first of all, the bregma. This is the bregma, meeting point of coronal suture and the sagittal suture over here. Also known as the anterior fontanelle. We actually close this at around 18 to 24 months of age and allows the growth of the brain. So around in 18 to 24 months, this will fuse. Lambda. Now over here, as you can see, this is the lambda, the meeting point of the sagittal suture and the lambdoid suture. This is the lambda. Now this lambda is known as the posterior fontanelle. Okay, and it mainly fuses at the age of 2 to 3 months of age. It will fuse. Okay, over here, this lambda. So means, remember, we have mainly two fontanelles in this portion in the norma verticalis, that is the anterior fontanelle and the posterior fontanelle. Anterior fontanelle is a bregma, we actually fuse this at around 18 to 24 months, and this lambda posterior fontanelle will actually fuse after the age of after 3 to 4 months of birth. Now next is the parietal tuber or the parietal eminence. Now the most convex part of the parietal this parietal bone is known as the parietal tuber eminence. Means, as you can see, this is a parietal bone. So the most convex side of this is known as the parietal tuber eminence. And this is one of the most commonest part to be get fractured. In the skull bone, we have mainly the nasal bone to be get the more fractured, right? But this portion, parietal tuber eminence, is also one of them only. which actually gets easily fractured. Now next is the parietal foramen. These two holes, as you can see over here, are the parietal foramen, actually present in around 2.5 to 4 centimeter in front of the lambda. Okay, and this actually passes the emissary vein. Now this emissary vein actually connects the extracranial part to the intracranial dural venous plexus, and over here which intracranial dural venous plexus is actually connected to the extracranial part, that is the superior sagittal sinus. Remember over here the emissary vein from the parietal foramen will actually connect the extracranial part to the superior sagittal sinus. Okay, this, remember this sinus. Now next is the obelion. Obelion is actually we can see the point on the sagittal suture somewhere over here, a point on sagittal suture between the two parietal foramens is known as the obelion. It will be present somewhere over here, means in between these two foramens there will be obelion. Now next are the temporal lines. Now first of all, let's look at this diagram. Now you may know in this, this is the frontal bone, this is the parietal bone, this is the temporal bone, and this is the occipital bone. Right, now this frontal bone has the zygomatic process. Okay, the zygomatic process of the frontal bone is this. Now this zygomatic process of the frontal bone actually connects with the frontal process of the zygomatic bone. This is the zygomatic bone. So the frontal process of the zygomatic bone actually connects with the zygomatic process of the frontal bone. Okay, and they will connect with each other. While over here, this is the temporal bone. So temporal bone has zygomatic process of temporal bone. Now this process will actually connect with the temporal process of the zygomatic bone, and they will form the zygomatic arch. Now what are temporal lines? The temporal lines begins at the zygomatic process of the frontal bone over here, and they will arch backwards and upwards and cross the frontal bone. As you can see, this is clearly visible from the diagram. Let's look at the diagram, it will be easier for you. Frontal bone, and then it passes to the coronary suture. As you can see over here, this is the coronary suture. Somewhere over here it will be sagittal suture, and this is the lambdoid suture. So it will go to the frontal bone and then crosses the coronary suture over here and the parietal bone. Now as it goes backward, it will divide into two lines, that is the superior temporal line and the inferior temporal line. Anteriorly they both will fuse with each other and they form one line only, but posteriorly they will divide into two, as you can see. Okay, now posteriorly the superior line actually fades out over the posterior part of the parietal bone, but the inferior temporal actually remains intact. It will be clearly seen. Okay, it will continuous further towards the back side over here, as you can see this. Okay, and it will go downward and forward with the zygomatic arch. So just remember, the temporal lines goes from the this zygomatic process of the frontal bone, then go backward, coronary suture, parietal bone divided into two parts, superior temporal line and inferior temporal line. Superior temporal line fades away while the inferior temporal line goes downwards and in the front, and we actually continue up till the zygomatic arch. This is zygomatic arch. Okay. Now the clinical aspects of the norma verticalis. Now first of all, fontanelles. I told you before what is fontanelles. These are actual sites of the growth of the skull, which actually permits the growth of the brain and helps in determining the age of the particular baby. Okay, and the fontanelles actually are unfused part of the skull bone. Okay, if you will just touch at the particular part of the anterior fontanelle and the posterior fontanelle of a small baby, you will be easily able to feel these fontanelles. They are the unfused part of the skull bone and allows the growth of the brain. Now if the fontanelles fused early before the growth of the brain growth is stunted and such child are less intelligent. So presence of these fontanelles are very important for the brain growth of the particular child. If anterior fontanelle, this is the anterior fontanelle, the bregma, and the posterior fontanelle is the lambda. So the anterior fontanelle is bulging. There is raised intracranial pressure. Suppose this is bulging outwards. Of course, over here there is no skull bone because it is actually membranous and allows the growth of the brain. But if this bregma is actually bulged towards the outside or raised towards the outside, there is raised intracranial pressure. And if the anterior fontanelle is actually depressed inside, it shows decreased intracranial pressure, mostly due to dehydration. Now the bones override at the fontanelles and actually helps to decrease the size of the head during the vaginal delivery. So during the vaginal delivery, these fontanelles actually the bones in around the means this fontanelle actually those part of the brain of those part of the skull which is non-fused, but the bones which are present on the sides of this fontanelle will actually override at the fontanelle part, override over each other and help to decrease the size of the head during the vaginal delivery so that the baby easily comes out. Now the last is the caput succedaneum. Now it is a soft tissue swelling on any part of the skull due to the rupture of the capillaries during the delivery of the baby. Okay, so because of the rupturing of the capillaries, there is edema in the small baby and skull becomes normal within a few days in the postnatal life, because it is nothing but just an edema and it will heal by itself in few days or few months. So this was all about norma verticalis. We'll talk about norma occipitalis, norma basalis, norma frontalis and norma lateralis in my further next videos. Hope you understood it well. Thank you so much.